very good morning to viewers. So we are again with the NISARG, Network of Indian Scientists and Academics in Research in Germany. So we are very happy to meet you all in the new episode, and we have today a very young scientist, researcher working in Hannover. He's working in a very special field, which is not normally very common field, and it's a very highly specialized research, and which also deals with a lot of, let's say, public understanding of it, or the more, let's say, more visibility into the public diaspora in terms of discussions as well. So that's something which is not always also common when you do research. It's not every day you are, your topic or the research you are doing is being talked in the public. So we are very happy to have him today. Dr. Vinay is today with us, and he, as the name suggests, to an extent you can understand that he is a person of Indian origin. And so we will go through in the next 30-40 minutes a dialogue with Dr. Vinay, discussing about how what was his earlier interest, and in the childhood, and what was his earlier education all about, and how he chose the let's say educational field in his bachelor higher education, and then how he landed in Germany, and also this institution. What did he do? How did you come through? And what is his passion about? And at the last phase, we will also discuss a bit on the general public awareness of what's the whole topic about, and why it is so important, not only for Germany, but also otherwise as well. So that's all as for this episode. And thank you again for giving us the support, and thanks once again for the Consulate General of India for hosting this NISARG, and realizing and hosting it regularly. And you can all watch all the episodes of NISARG whenever it is done. We upload into the Consulate General of India website in Hamburg, but it's also available in the YouTube. We'll also inform that to Facebook. So very good morning, Vinay. Very happy to have you. Thanks for taking time to be part of the NISARG episode. And I'm sure we will have a good next half an hour or 40 minutes to discuss about many things, and also that could benefit largely the Indian diaspora working here also, but also the those who are interested in Indian research and education who are in Germany internationally and also otherwise. So to start with, could you please briefly explain where you are from, and what was your early education all about, and how you got this whole idea of today at a very early stage, or later during your studies, some professors or individuals influenced you, or how you came about the passion of this. So that would be very interesting to have your personal journey before we go into the actual scientific part of it. Vinay, please.
Thank you very much, Bala, for the invitation. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to talk about my journey to Germany, or to my present job, to be more precise. Right. I studied environmental engineering in India as my bachelor's, and at that time, there are not. When you pass out of your +2, you really have not real idea here. So you're greatly influenced by, I am greatly influenced by the elders and their suggestions, and also based on the experience that you have seen as a child. So engineering was a very strong suggestion for me to pursue. And it so happened that I could get a seat in environmental engineering, which is also a very interesting subject. It's still very at present, it's a really hot topic, environmental engineering. And the thing was, in India, the whole curriculum was focused more on more like public health matters, wastewater engineering, water treatment, urban drainage, and such things. So I'm sanitary engineering, in between a bit to the side. So after finishing my engineering, by then I already had an idea that it would be difficult to have the career which I wanted, which was more like in the scientific way. But then I had the opportunity while I was finishing engineering to go into campus recruitment. Then I got selected by Infosys, and there I received my first training in software engineering aspects, right? And then I worked for nearly a year and a half, or maybe a little bit more, at Infosys, where it was basically a period of time where I was regrouping to decide what I would want to do further. Because very soon I found out that I would not want to continue there for a really long time. And then parallelly, I started taking up entrance exams. So I got a suggestion from my father to apply for Indian Engineering Service exam. And I personally wanted to do master's, so I took up GATE. But the challenge was none of these exams offer environmental engineering as a subject, right? So you have to take civil engineering and prepare for the civil engineering exam, which means you have to study things which was not in my curriculum, like structural engineering, for example, or some strength of materials or such advanced topics. So even in the preparation phase, I was not optimally ready to have a really good chance at the exam, but I took it anyway because, like most Indian people wanting to study further, your preference is to do it in India, right? Do it at a good institution in India. So that was also my preference, but that did not turn out to be a choice, because if you go in leaving out certain subjects because you have never studied them in your engineering, then there's only so much you can do in the entrance exam itself. So that was not a very successful attempt. But it was the preparation helped me. So then I started to look outside, the suggestion also coming from my uncle, because he's working in the US as an associate professor, that why not try to study outside India. And then I tried to study that, and then again, then it's a question of finances, which would be which had to be clarified. And so I was from the beginning on the back foot to go to the US, because I know tuition is really high there. Although the Indian community is really big, it would not have been a problem to be welcome there and to find my feet there. But for me, the finances was, it was personally important, because my parents were bearing the expenses, and I did not want to burden them more than necessary.
Right. Vinay,
and then I started looking in Europe. Then
maybe at this point, just we can get back to that after that. Just at this point, curious question. Of course, you did environmental engineering, and then you went to Infosys. I'm not sure at that point of time, when you went for training, I suppose it would be in Mysore?
No, the training center was in Mysore, but we had the honor of being the first training batch in Mahindra city in Chennai.
Because now I got, because otherwise I know that from Hannover, also from the Leibniz University, we had some discussions and some projects also with Infosys, because they were, I think, one of the first IT majors in India who wanted to have a completely green campus, and they wanted to have a lot of also they did also have recycling facilities, and they wanted to look at lawfully on the recycling of the water and waste and many things. So that was my idea. I'm not sure whether that was some department at that point of time also was there, where maybe you had the chance to do your environmental engineering there as well. So that's just a curious question whether it was there.
I know some people who worked at such like you would call it probably facility management positions, right? But no, I was more into the bread and butter of Infosys. So to like as a service provider to foreign clients.
Right.
Yeah, that was but after I left, it was also an option to join one of such companies in that role. I mean, as a role of an environmental engineer or a sanitary engineer, so that I could continue. But those positions are not many, and you have to have a lot of networking even to be aware of such openings and to have a chance to get in there. So, but anyway, and by then I was almost sure that I did not want to work or just change a job and work somewhere else. I really wanted to study further, and that's why I did not even pursue that avenue actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Then I started looking outside India, more specifically in Europe. Then I got accepted at 2 courses in Stuttgart and 1 course in France. And I saw my curriculum and I chose a course which was closest to my curriculum in environmental engineering, so which was the water resource engineering and management. And it was, in the beginning, the learning curve was extremely steep because it's a new environment and new culture and new climate and also new way of learning and new way of teaching. That was all a bit too much, but thankfully I managed to complete my master's really, with a relatively good grade. And that's,
so can you
that is how
give an idea about your student times? Maybe how was it for you? As you rightly said, it's a new culture, it's completely new country, language, weather, many other things. How was it for you? What was your expectation when you came here? Of course, you would have got some idea about how Germany would have been through your, some friends or some acquaintances, whatever it is. But then when you came, how was it as a student life? How was it that time, and what were the challenges?
For our course, which was an international master's program, actually the course was really, the course management was really nice. They had, because the first thing, as soon as you arrive, what you will need is housing, right? And housing and somebody to take you through the paperwork. So we had a buddy system. So there was like a buddy, somebody from the senior year in Warem, and he picked me up from the train station and brought me to the university, and there I was received. And by then they had already reserved the room for me, and they had the keys and everything. So then they took me to the Hausmeister, got the keys, got the paperwork, helped me open an account, and took me to the Rathaus, did my registration. So this was actually really well organized. I mean, I was not left alone at any point of time till my paperwork was complete. And also like getting the internet connection and also giving suggestions where I could get like a cellular plan and stuff like that. That was all really well organized. But the social component, like getting to know other people, that took I would say, more than a semester, because it was an international master's program, which means everybody was from abroad. There were German students, but there were only 2 of them. But we were like 24 people, and like 2 from each country, let's say. So we were around maybe 12 or 14 countries. So we all did not know each other, and the other Indian guy came from West Bengal, so we also had like a cultural gap between us. Yeah. So the first semester, it just went by just like finding your feet in this new place, and also like coming to terms with the academic part. That was, yeah, after the second semester, then it is usually summer or spring and summer, and which means people are more open and you can like go out a little bit more, and the weather is, for at least for people who come from warmer climates, weather is no longer an issue stopping them from going out. So that was when I could actually get to know some people, and yeah, I am still in touch with them. I'm in touch with all the people who completed my course in my year who are still in Germany.
So just out of the way, how is it like, out of them, how many are still in Germany? Or how many of them, I mean, I'm sure they are all spread out all over the world, or many of them are still in Germany?
Not many. So 2, 4, 5, yeah, around 5, 6, including me, 6, as far as I can remember, 6 people are in Germany. Some people went further to English-speaking countries, to USA and Canada. Some people probably went back, like people from Africa, for example. They either went back, or they went back, stayed there, and stayed in their home country, and again got sent abroad to finish their PhD. But then this time they chose an English-speaking country like Australia or UK or such things. So only very few out of 24, let's say, like 6 people that I can remember, I mean, that I'm in touch with very frequently, they are still in Germany.
Good. That's just to get to know that. So because it's always a challenge with the students, and obviously the time you studied or I studied, and now how the students are, the student life, and especially as you said, the housing and things are completely different situation. It's even difficult on certain challenges, but also there are other fronts. A lot of improvement has happened, especially with the visa status, or staying more time after education, and all those things, of course. Right, you came to Germany, you are doing your master's. Then how was it about your thesis, master thesis, and after that phase, after that?
Yeah, the master thesis was, it was kind of, for me personally, it was a bit long, because I had to break in between to take time off to go back to India, because my wedding was planned right in between. So I took a 3-month break, and then went back to India, and then got married, and then I came back to Germany, and then completed my master thesis. But there were some challenges, as usual, like some things you expect to work within the time period of a master thesis, and those are sometimes they don't, and you need some more support from your supervisors, or some more time to figure it out yourself. And then everything gets delayed, like the writing and the proofreading and everything. But I was able to complete the master thesis within the time period allotted. Otherwise my grades would have suffered, because part of being a scientist is also being able to hold to project timeline.
Right. So how was it? Just give me an briefly about searching for your project thesis. You have to do it with the university, or you can do it with the industry, or how was it? How did you choose? Or there were different topics given, and you have to take it up, or how was that structured at that point of time?
Yeah, actually, we were free to choose either industry or academic topics. Industry is more relevant for like informatics or mechanical engineering, because there is more offers in this, especially in the Stuttgart area, like very focused to the Stuttgart area. So they could do for electronics, mechanical engineering, informatics. They had like many opportunities to apply outside. But for environmental engineering, depends on which stream of environmental engineering. If you're going into groundwater or sanitary engineering or solid waste management, whichever it is, then you rarely find big companies like Daimler or Bosch, right? You find small engineering companies, which are like very small companies. They do take people for practicum or for master theses, but I also chose as a stream which was modeling and simulation, which was not so widespread outside academia. So my institute was the first contact that I could go to and ask for a topic for my master thesis. And yeah, they always have some topics, because every PhD student during their PhD will have some subtopics which they give out as master thesis topics. So I was given a choice between 2 or 3 topics, and I took one which at that time I thought sounds interesting.
Great. So everything kind of worked out, and then you are now married as well, one side, and of course the decision comes, obviously after masters, what to do, work for a job or to do a PhD research, or how it's going to happen. And so how was that challenge, and how did you go through that?
Yeah, during my master thesis, I realized that I'm really interested. This is really an interesting topic or interesting field, and I would want to stay there. So I asked for my professor for a PhD position. I was told to wait, but then the wait was a bit longer because many things are decided also by funding, and which is the professor cannot make a promise that he will take you, right? He can only say, okay, wait, there might be an opportunity, and then if it doesn't turn out, then it's up to me to take the decision whether to wait longer or whether to do something else. And in the meanwhile, my professor was also trying to get me in touch with other professors who might have a potential opportunity. So it was very nice of him. So in that way, I got an offer from France, from Nancy, to do a PhD, but the finances would not have worked out for me personally, because I had a loan to pay back to India. And if I had taken that position, then it was a commitment for 3 years with a salary which was not really sustainable for my finances. So that also played a really big role in my decision. So I decided to stay in Germany and also search for jobs with a scientific background. So with the hope that I can do a PhD externally. That is how I came to finding my first job after my master's, which was at the Bundesanstalt für Wasserbau in Karlsruhe. That was the Federal Hydraulic Engineering and Research Institute in Karlsruhe. And then I made the change from Stuttgart, leaving the well-protected English-speaking academic environment to German Federal or Scientific Office.
So that's quite interesting. I mean, please tell us a bit. I am sure, as you already said, that well protected. That's a very nice word you used. Of course, it is. And then now you are entering into a, let's say, full and full, of course, international, but still a German institution, or let's say German, government institution. So how was it? And with respect to the research, but also getting to know the working groups there. How was it completely different from the university setting, and what it teach you? Something that you have learned for yourself, and for the further research.
It was completely different, right? I mean, starting with from the interview. The interview was in German, and there were like 8 people in the interview committee. But at that time,
so
my
maybe
German was
Vinay,
not good.
just a point.
Yeah?
When you said it was in German, so when was it that you learned so good German, or that you are so confident that you can attend an interview in German? How did it happen? In master's time, or how that you found time to learn German? What was your intrinsic motivation?
Actually, yeah, I wasn't able to give an interview in German. I mean, my German was not good enough to give an interview in German, but I got I got the call for the interview, and then I was at the university. I remember I went to Privatdozent at the university and said, I have got this. Do you think I can do it? And then he started talking to me in German, and then said, do you understand what I'm saying? Then I can understand. I could understand the what he was saying, just that I did not have the vocabulary or the grammar to reply back in German. But then I took a chance, and at the interview I said, okay, you can talk to me in German, but right now I am not in a position to answer you back in German, so I will answer back in English. And thankfully they agreed. So yeah, that's how the interview went. They spoke in German and I spoke in English. And but then I also, some small conversations I could still do in German, because my course, in my course, we had to compulsorily do 2/3 of A2. So I had some knowledge of grammar and some vocabulary, which was till A2. And then I said, yeah, I don't know German, but I will answer now in English, but I will make an effort to learn German on the go in my job. So that was how I was introduced. I mean, of course, it demands a great deal of patience from the employer as well. But in a scientific field, that is okay. I mean, if it depends also on the job profile, right? If you get a job where you had to write like press statements every single day, then you can forget it. I mean, I would not even have been called for the interview. But it was a scientific job, but there was an opportunity to learn. So I think the employer saw that there was a chance that it could work out.
So it's a full-time PhD program, and during your master's from the university, did you get training how to write CVs and for apply for jobs specifically for the German institutions?
No, from the university, we did. It could be possible that there were some soft skill courses which were offered from the university, but in the program there was no real emphasis given to getting prepared to apply for a job in Germany after your master course. But what I took was, I mean, the job I found in Karlsruhe was not a PhD program. It was just a job, but
Okay.
with the chance of working towards a PhD.
Right.
But yeah, I still haven't completed. So that's why I did not want to interrupt your introduction, but I still haven't completed my PhD. So I'm not
yet
doctor.
But yeah, some point of time. I think, yeah, it's quite interesting, because I know also quite a lot of people working in such federal offices. They are also not necessarily PhD holders, but I think the wealth of knowledge or the research they are doing is equivalent or more, or not less to be actually graded in terms of the research and everything. And it's simply that's how even in our CSIR institutions in India, there are many scientists who are also in the central governments. Doesn't need that they have to be a doctor, but they are doing a lot of research and everything as well. So, right, you were in the federal office and institute, and then how was it there in terms of the research from the university? Can you just, because for the viewers as well, how
Yeah.
is it differentiated between an university research setting and research institutions like the federal ones?
Yeah. The the office which I was in Karlsruhe and also the one which I'm here, they are fundamentally different than the research which is being done at the university, because everything we do in this office has the application in mind, right? It is much more closer to the application in the real world than it is at the university. University, you can do also theoretical things, which are probably sometimes like way too futuristic or way too computationally intensive, so that they don't have at present a real chance of being applied to practical problems. But for us, the practical problem drives the research, and that is the basic, because whatever you do, any idea you come up with, you should be able to transfer that to some kind of application in the real world. So that's the in university. It's not always the case, right? You pick a topic and then you try 3 or 4 approaches, and then you just see which approach works well, and then try to find the limits of that approaches. That itself is a huge wealth of knowledge which you get, but doesn't mean that all of that can be necessarily applied to the real world. Yeah. So here it's the other way around. The application drives the research.
So, right. So, you worked there and you started in that office. Then how did it go? How did you, let's say, made your transition, or what was there something you thought, okay, how I move next?
Yeah, in Karlsruhe, I was doing research in a method for which I was not rigorously trained in my master's, and it worked. It was more like kind of fundamental research, right? More like a feasibility, whether this method will work. If it works, what kind of problems can we solve, and which practical scenarios do we hope to be able to calculate with this method, and such things. And then it was also, because that kind of research requires like a real close collaboration with the university, and also right, and which was at that point not so closely networked with the university. But then when I was just looking for, I had to move to, was looking to move to Northern Germany for other like personal reasons. But when I was doing that, then I found this group for my current job, and then their research profile, the methods they use, all come from the same school I went to in Stuttgart, because it's all linked, because my professor was also at the Leibniz University long ago, and that is where he did his PhD, and he moved to Stuttgart and he did his habilitation there and became a professor. So we all come from the same school. So I felt that I fit well here. And then when I applied for the job, and then I got the in the interview, I also noticed that, okay, this could be something. And when I got the job, I was also was very happy to know that I could also be in touch with my professor, or try to see if there could be some collaboration which can be done and such things. So you still are in touch with the university, and you are in collaboration. Sometimes you do research projects together. Sometimes they are in a role of a contractor doing some work. So it's always tightly bound with the university and the research. But any collaboration has to have the application as a focus. That is the
so I think
prerequisite.
to understand you better, of course, we will come back to understand a bit better on your current research institute, what it does, and also the other part. When I tell, as a focus, you always had a focus at, let's say, after you started your master's. You are clear that this is the topic, probably not very fine detail, but somehow broadly you knew this is something I want to work for my future work. That's my life. If I move into research and I work on it, this is what I really want to. That's something you kind of programmed in your mind.
Yeah, because it was all decided on which topics I found really interesting. Then for me, from my second semester, modeling in porous media was my topic. I mean, that was what attracted me a lot. So I always wanted to stay in modeling in porous media. And also, when I went to Karlsruhe, it was still the same topic. And now in Hannover, it is still the same topic. Just the applications differ, the methods you use differ, and sometimes the scales differ, right? But in the end, it's still modeling in porous media. That is what I wanted to do since my second semester, and that was always on my mind when I was also searching for a job or searching for my second job.
So why I'm asking is this also for many young students who are also studying and who also want to say where they want to go. So from your experience, your suggestion would be keep the focus and do not take things because you just have some job, but even if it is going to be a challenge for some time, but continue to look for what you want.
Yeah, what I tell the students I have met is, when you come to Germany, this is what I know, this is what many people do, that as soon as they come, they start searching for a heavy job. I say, don't do it. Focus on studies, because your first salary will be many times more than a heavy salary. And that to be able to get that, you need good grades. And if you tire yourself out shifting between jobs and studies during your student life, you might not be in a position to get the best grade possible. Right? That is, I always emphasize this part. Don't be hell-bent on getting a job as soon as you land in Germany. I mean, the student job, right? But many people immediately apply to many different student jobs, and because I can imagine I also worked in my third semester student job, but because it takes a lot of your energy, which you could have used to focus on your academics. That is has always been my message.
Right. So let's look at the last quarter of our dialogue. Can you explain a bit on what you are doing right now and what is your institute, how it is connected with the, let's say, the broader public theme as well, and also, if you can, of course, whatever is possible and allowed within your institution's mandate, could you also share how it is actually so important in terms of environment, climate, and sustainability?
Yeah, I work at the Federal Institute for Geosciences and Natural Resources. And in our campus, there are two other institutions which share the same office, not office space, but the same campus. One is the Leibniz Institute for Applied Geophysics and the State Geological Survey of Niedersachsen, the Landesamt für Bergbau, Energie und Geologie. So BGR belongs to the central government, and Leibniz Institute is a research institute, and LBEG belongs to the state. And the BGR has 4 departments, one dealing with natural resources, one with groundwater, one with the use of underground space, which comes below the ground, the space which is used for groundwater. And the other one is for international collaboration and things like that. Right. So I work in the department of underground usage of space. So my focus is to develop methods and use it to simulate storage of nuclear waste in geological formations. So for that, there are different criteria. It's all on the internet. There has also been recently a big press conference where they have published regions of Germany which, in their opinion, is suitable to investigate further. So if you taking that as an example, one of that would be to say you have a generic region you have been given, and you see what kind of criteria needs to be fulfilled to ensure good containment. And then you see what kind of methods you have to develop in order to calculate this containment to the desired level of accuracy over the desired period of time. So, which means also basically it's okay. So start from one end to the other. It deals with understanding the physics of the problem and understanding how it can be translated into numerical methods, which you use for simulation, and in understanding the accuracy of those methods, if they still maintain that accuracy for the duration of time which you need to prove good containment. And when you apply those methods to a particular, in this case, a generic storage scenario, then the results have to be interpreted from the point of view of regulation. So that is the last part, right? You have to confirm always to the regulation. So you need to be sure that the simulation output which you're getting is accurate enough so that it can be it can be used to apply in the real world.
Right.
So that is like, if very briefly put, from one end to the other.
Yes, I got it.
Go ahead, Bala,
so
sorry.
in your field, how much international cooperation is happening, or specifically to India? How is it about? How far India is contributing to that field worldwide, and also do you have specifically cooperation at this moment, or where do you see the opportunity or possibility?
To be honest, there are a lot of research groups in India dealing with porous media research, but I personally am not aware of any group or any federal office or state office which is responsible for such disposal of nuclear waste. So I really cannot say. I mean, very now focusing on nuclear waste disposal, that what is the current status in India. But there are definitely a lot of collaboration happening between universities in Germany and universities in India in porous media research. But from the BGR, there is definitely a lot of collaboration happening in Asia. But in other fields, for example, in groundwater, right? For more like or in exploitation of natural resources or such things. But from this point, from the geological disposal point of view, I'm really not aware of any, at least with the BGR, I'm pretty sure there's no collaboration going on. I'm not aware whether India is in touch with any other institution or university in Germany for this particular topic.
Okay. Finally, let's take 2-3 minutes. How do you keep in touch with your alma mater? I mean, your institution in India or with Stuttgart. You regularly contact them in terms of whether you are, taking any courses or giving any talks at some point of time, or when you are visiting, India, whether you are visiting your institution or you are thinking about maybe, engaging yourself with your old institution to just say a little bit more on those aspiring young minds, how they should look at it, generally in terms of research, of your experiences in Germany, on how you really look at research or how here they look at research, and also if they are aspiring for specializing themselves abroad, how they should approach based on your experiences, again, not going or reinventing the wheel of mistakes or things that probably you might have gone through.
Yeah, I did it once where the 6 of us who are still in Germany, we went to Stuttgart. We gave a talk to the new students, just giving an impression of what are the fields that you can work in after you complete, and just like general tips. And then there was also like an not so formal meet and greet where you could also like talk very one-on-one, where you can also share like your personal experience or personal suggestions. That in Stuttgart we did it once, but then the course also has to initiate this with the people who are still remaining in Germany. That has not happened again after this. Once I went in 2016, I think, or 15. And with my institute in Stuttgart, we are regularly in touch because, like I said, we come from the same research school. And if we have an opening which we think suits somebody graduating from that institute, so we send the opening to them. So, or if we need some scientific discussion, then we initiate that. So it's always that is going on. But with India, it's not so much, because maybe in my case, because like the field I'm working in right now is very far away from what I studied in India in my bachelor's. I mean, of course, there were subjects which directly linked to this field, but that these were only isolated subjects. Like I said, the focus of environmental engineering when I studied was more on sanitary engineering and public health and such aspects, and less on groundwater modeling and or theory of porous media and things like that. But yeah, if there is an opportunity, I would be happy to say that, okay, civil engineers or environmental engineers, potentially have also this field where they can work. This is also an interesting field because people coming from India, they are like they have more like a 0-1 kind of approach. They say either university or completely like industry, but this is neither university nor industry, but it is still a scientific line of work. And yeah, that's my intention, was just to make this field also visible to incoming students.
Good. I think, yeah, we will also keep in mind, and maybe you find an opportunity next time when you are going to India, maybe just visit your institution and say hi, and then maybe, you know, one or other professors you know still is there, and just you can drop down in a classroom and just say that I'm here, and whoever want to aspire for higher studies generally do things. I mean, sometimes this is coming very fresh, and it's refreshing for that, you know, somebody like all of us, like 12th class, and there you come to the bachelor's, you have no idea how things are going. So I think maybe if you find time, but we will also keep in mind, and if something we come across from the university or some international cooperation from India or somewhere in your topic, we'll be in touch with you as well. So maybe someone who sees your interview now, maybe or is interested and getting in touch with you. Vinay, thanks a lot for that. I think we said 40 minutes, but we are almost an hour. That's how it all goes on. You know, when you are interestingly looking into that, it takes time. But I mean, it was very, very, let's say, lively, and I'm pretty sure it's being going to be seen by people, and then who really they are, you know, wishing either way to study here or who want to be in your topic. So
yeah, thank you very much for the invitation and for the opportunity.
absolutely, I think we are delighted. So thanks a lot, viewers, for this episode of NISARG. We will meet you in the next one with another interesting topic, and yeah, who is doing research in Germany or maybe in India, but they are working closely with Germany. And wish you all well. Stay safe. Thank you, Vinay. All the best. Bye.
Thank you, Bala. Bye.